right, a little cult vote review here for 1990s Sam Raimi directorial, not debut, but I think his first studio movie.
Yeah, his first studio movie, his first real movie. Yeah, his first big budget studio
Big
movie,
budget, right? Which is Darkman,
1990. Do you remember the first time you
1990.
saw it? Did you see it in theaters?
I saw it in fucking theaters, bro, and I'll never forget watching it and just being like, "This is like a superhero movie for real." It was like, imagine, young kid, you're in the theater, Darkman comes out, and like the camera angles, the way things are moving and shit. To that point, the year before that, I think, is when Batman came out.
Yeah, you said yeah.
Also, you have a very similar score.
Yep. And Danny Elfman, I think too.
Danny Elfman on board doing a very similar Batman score.
Yeah.
You know, obviously it's different, but there's a lot of parts in it that you're like, "Dude, I can hear Batman
Oh
in
yeah,
there."
it does. It does more like a sadder, the don don don, more like a
Yeah,
sadder. Yeah, yeah.
yes. You
And
have you have a young Liam Neeson, which at the time was still kind of an unknown.
yeah,
This was his bird. I think this is the first time he was the lead in a film.
yeah, he was still unknown really until like Rob Roy and all that era where he was like
Right.
Oscar. And young
Actually,
Frances McDormand, young.
she was nobody also at the time. She had more pull than he did, but she was still not the actress that everybody knows her for. I don't even know.
I think he passed away, the late great Larry Drake, Dr. Giggles.
Larry Drake was hilarious in this fucking movie.
I think he was probably the most known there because he was on a TV show, I think, back in the day. He was
Probably
on
opera or something. Who only knows?
he was
He
on a
had
TV
he's one of
show.
these guys that was in every TV show in the 90s
Yeah.
and 80s. So, you know. Okay, so 1990, Darkman. All right. I saw it in theaters as a kid. I vividly remember it always, from that movie on, I already had seen Evil Dead 2. That was, I think, the
Oh,
first Sam Raimi film I saw. Then I saw Darkman, and I was like, I was hooked on him. So when my all-time favorite Sam Raimi movie came out a little bit later, I made it a point to go to the theater to watch it, which was
Army of
Army of
Darkness.
Darkness. Right. But okay, the way Darkman starts. All right. I was laughing so fucking hard when I rewatched it last week. Did you just rewatch it recently or no?
I've seen it recently. I didn't watch it as early as you did, but I did watch it recently. In the last couple years, I did see it again.
Oh, from the beginning, you saw Reese
Yeah, from
last
the
time.
beginning, the whole beginning with the whole
The
warehouse
warehouse,
sequence.
bro. That shit had me in tears because it's so fucking bullshit, but in a good way. Okay, so they introduce you to to the main bad guys. All right, you got Larry Drake and his handful of henchmen, which is maybe five or six guys, right? You got the guy with the peg leg machine gun,
And the long hair, yeah.
right? You got this little
Yeah, you
you,
got the
you got
the
Ted Raimi.
fester, the
You get
fester
Ted
looking guy, yeah,
Raimi.
Ted Raimi.
Okay, you get these little handful of guys. That's his posse. That's their little mob, and they built this fucking place up to be right. There's like the kingpin of the town, right? This tall black dude in the trench coat.
Yeah, with the
And
fro.
yeah, and they're driving to his like headquarters because they're gonna take over his shit. And he's like, he wants to meet up with them, you know? And there's a montage of how many fucking people are in this warehouse, okay? I don't know if you remember as vividly because I saw it just a
Yeah,
couple of days ago. David, there's at least 500 heads in that place. Construction workers, random guys that look, they just picked them off the street and they're all packing for no reason. They're like walking around with machine guns, Uzi.
yeah.
These are five fucking guys, okay? So they get there, they get out of the car, and they have the face off. Dr. Giggles and the main kingpin that he's gonna take over the territory of, right? And the guy's just belittling him, making fun of him, all that shit. Larry Drake doesn't say one fucking word. That guy is doing all the talking. And they keep cutting back to them in like Sam Raimi esque shots, long shots, close ups, his face just staring at the guy, all this shit. And then he literally takes the leg from his henchman, which is a machine gun, and the guy kills 500 people that are all around the building in every floor, right? He's
I do
shooting
remember
them and they're all dropping like by the hundreds. It's hilarious. And then out of nowhere, cars start flying out of like cargo holes that are like levitated in the air with chains.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Henchmen's flying out, driving, and the guy with the one peg leg is killing everybody. The cars are crashing. I'm like,
How
what
many
the
bullets are in that gun, right?
It's never ending, but it kind of sets the tone for
Yeah, yeah,
Darkman.
yeah.
It's literally a comic book. It doesn't fucking matter. There's no rules applied here. This is before comic books decided to get dark and realistic. This is like comic book, okay?
But it was still dark and violent. You know,
Oh
it's
no, violent. Yes, violent. Absolutely. It's
that
super
whole
fucking dark.
beginning reminds me of
Darkman, no
like
pun
an
intended.
like every like early 90s action movie. It just looks like that, right? You know, like the Lethal Weapons and the
Oh, it
RoboCop.
has that total look to it. Absolutely. Um, the so anyways, that's the intro.
And then the scene with the when he has the cigar thing.
Yeah,
It's
oh no, that's his
supposed to
thing. That's
be.
his calling card.
I
He
have a
cuts
question. I have a
people's
question.
fingers.
I always assume that he's cutting his fingers. That's what's supposed to be happening, right?
Yes, he's cutting all the fingers one at a
Because,
time. The,
but
the,
you
the
can
main
still, but
bad
when you
guy.
look at it now, you can see the
There's no
fingers.
blood.
There's no blood, so I'm like, oh, is he breaking his bones?
No, no, yeah, yeah, yeah. They
But
can't
then,
shoot.
but then he goes,
So they,
then he goes get the fingers. So I'm like, oh, he's cutting it. Yeah, I love that intro. Since I was a kid, I remember that he does one, two, three, and he goes third one. I have 7 more points. And
yeah, yeah. And when he cuts it, the guy's screaming, "Oh!" and the camera zooms in his mouth.
yeah, and it turns
Dark
into the
man.
smoky intro. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's fucking amazing, bro. Like the title sequence is out of control, man. It's like time lapse thunderstorms and lightning with titles going across and
yeah. And all those scenes, well, of his subconscious or whatever, he repurposed some of that and redid it for Spider-Man. The scenes
oh
when
yeah,
he
you can
repurposed
see a
all those.
lot of Spider-Man
Yeah,
borrowing from Darkman and Evil Dead for sure. They
yeah.
took that he totally shoved in as much as he could in there from that.
Yeah. I remember seeing this in the theater when I was 10 with my dad, but I don't think I had seen Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2 yet. So I think this might be my first Sam Raimi movie. But
Oh, okay, okay.
my dad knew who he was. I guess he saw the Evil Dead ones because he wanted to go see it and he kept saying, Sam Raimi, Sam Raimi. He knew who he was. So I'm guessing he already knew what Evil Dead was.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget the teaser trailer for that movie. I'll never forget it. The teaser trailer was all, I think it was just this, and it ended with him on the rope being pulled by the helicopter, smashing into the window, and it says, "Who
Excuse me.
is Darkman?" And he goes, "Excuse
He
me."
crashes through the window. He's like, "Excuse me," and then it
Jumps
cuts.
out and it had the title, and I was like, "What is this?
Yeah.
What is this? I gotta go see this." Yeah, yeah.
So then basically,
But it was a bomb, huge bomb.
oh no, yeah, huge bomb. Actually, I have the numbers right here. I think it cost 14 million, and
Wow.
worldwide, I mean, it made its money. It made 48.
But yeah, but it wasn't like popular at the time. Like you know,
No,
it was
no,
a
no,
big
no,
bomb.
no. It wasn't. It wasn't. They didn't lose money, but it was nothing for them. You know what I mean? Then you get cool little intro of Liam Neeson. He's a scientist. He's working on prosthetics and
Yes.
like for amputees and stuff. He's working with this like synthetic skin that can blend in perfectly and shit. But the problem is, it's photosynthesis. So every time sunlight hits them, they deteriorate. They
It
just
only
like
lasts, what was the number? It only lasts like what, 79 minutes or something?
oh no no no
Minutes.
seconds. They're
No,
trying.
no.
They're, in the beginning, it only lasts
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
seconds, and they're trying to like figure out why, and then accidentally one day they're working in
Power
the
goes out.
they're working late, so the main lights are off, and it lasts for a long time, and it's still going and going, and they're like, "What the hell is it?" And that's when he realizes the lights are off. Whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I remember. Okay, yeah.
so basically, what's happening is what I believe happens is that where that his warehouse is, where the laboratory is sort of like the land that the mobsters are trying to bully everybody out of because they want to build skyscrapers, right?
Yeah, the
So
classic 80s corporate
oh
plot.
yeah, the corporate
Goonies,
takes for
Goonies
sure.
plot.
So they show up one late night when he's working there with his partner, and they basically trash the place, kill the partner, and then they have fun with him and they torture him because they're asking him some bit of information that he doesn't know what the hell they're talking about and they don't believe him.
But
So
I'm sorry for interrupting. But doesn't it also have to do with his wife? His wife works with the dude, and there's like a
well, you
memo.
don't find that out till later.
The memo with the coffee stain
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Ends up being that her boss is the guy who they work for who's buying out. He's like the real estate guy, you know? So
He's like the Dick Jones of the movie.
he's, yeah, kind of like the Dick
And then
Jones.
he has the muscle doing all the crime.
Right. Right. But they torture him until they decide to kill him. And one of the scenes that make me laugh so hard is that Ted Raimi, as one of the henchmen, starts to dunk Liam Neeson in a vat of what I only assume is hot chemical acid.
Yeah.
When you're watching it, he's laughing and doing it with his bare hands in the liquid. So every time they cut to Liam Neeson's face, little by little, they show you more facial deterioration. But when you're watching the wide shots, he's just with his bare arms dunking him in the water, you know, and you can tell they're all holding it in. They're all having a great time, and they just left it in the movie. But you're like, wouldn't he have nubs by the end of that fucking scene? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and then he leaves, you know, he's like, it's all good. This guy's face is all burned and shit. And then they have that badass shot that they used to use in the trailer where
his hand
they let the gas open, they put a lighter, and they got that little liquid bird.
Yeah, that wide angle, that fisheye shot of it going. Blink.
And when it touches it, it reminds me of Blown Away when Tommy Lee Jones thing. It's that rotoscoped widescreen explosion.
Yeah, it's those cameras that go really close that it would do.
Yeah.
And then if you watch that scene again, because I saw that part recently too. The explosion happens, and then there's a cool like film school shot. It's just Liam Neeson with a light bulb in front of him going like this. Did you notice that shot?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's just like a light really quick going like that, and then they just cut to the explosion.
Yeah.
And they have that really cool, you know, it's blue screen of her
flying out the fire.
Yeah, yeah, that shot's great. And it looks animated, like little drawn.
It's probably a blue screen model.
Puppet or something, yeah. And then it shows her, and then it does the dissolve to the cemetery.
In the cemetery, in the same pose. They did dissolve, yeah. But they don't kill him because he flies out the window and lands in the lake. Other thing that makes absolutely no sense. They cut after the funeral to a medical lab.
Yeah.
It's a hospital. And they have him in a room in a whole burned suit, you know? And
he's rotating on that thing. Yeah.
Right. And the doctors are like showing him off to like medical people, like he's an experiment. Like, oh, we have him. They did something to his cortex where he can't feel pain. But the side effect is the only thing the brain can feel
is rage,
amplified. So like rage and shit like that is like times 10 and he feels no pain. And I'm thinking to myself, why would you fucking do that? Why would you? Oh, not only that, his body produces nonstop adrenaline. So he's super strong, feels no pain, and is full of anger. I'm like, such bullshit. Why would you do that? What do you think is gonna happen? You know,
it's such a sci-fi movie thing. And then the main doctor is the lady from American Werewolf in London. She's the doctor.
Right, yes.
She's a horror movie, yeah. She's yeah. So and it's Frankenstein though. It's very Frankenstein.
No, this movie
a little bit like RoboCop too, like RoboCop, where they brutalize him and then they turn him into a freak.
I wrote it here. This is kind of like a superhero movie mixed in with Phantom of the Opera because he looks with
the band. Figured Phantom of the Opera, The Crow, a lot of these things.
He took a lot from like Universal Monsters looks because he's got a little bit of the mummy in him.
Oh yeah.
Especially when the wraps start to get undone and his like lower jaws just like raw bone and teeth. He looks like the mummy, you know? There's a lot of stuff that he took from Universal Horror, which is what makes this movie even better because it's really fucking dark.
Right there when he escapes the hospital, they have a great shot of him walking through the alley in the rain.
Oh yeah. It looks like the Spider-Man footage he did originally.
Oh yeah.
Mock Alley with the rain and all dark with the dumpsters and the steam.
Tobey Maguire was fighting them, yeah.
But the the plot is so like quickly shoved in there of how he survived and why he is the way he is. So of course he wakes up in the hospital, bursts through the shackles, jumps out the window, and escapes. So he goes back to his like Frankenstein's burnt out laboratory where it could be his like hideout.
Yeah.
And he starts to hook up whatever computers the explosion didn't fuck up. And he starts to like try to make facial and prosthetics for himself so that he could go in society and try to blend in. And it's great because this is where like he's off. But for being the hero, he's a fucked up person. Mentally, he is like splintered. He is a disaster. Like he's trying to get his girlfriend back, but he's a fucking horrid beast. So he makes the mask to look like he's Liam Neeson again. And he contacts her and like convinces her that it's him, that he's not dead, whatever. They start going out on dates and shit. And then one of the best scenes of the whole movie.
How does that work now? I haven't seen. He just calls her and she just believes he's alive.
No, that scene where you're talking about, where he's in the rain.
Yeah,
he goes to her apartment and she's walking home.
Yeah, and she gets scared and runs away.
He grabs her, but he's like mumbling. He looks like a burnt victim, you know. Yeah. He's like freaks out and runs away. And then he's like, oh shit. That's when he realizes I can't come like this, you know? So that's when he goes back and he starts like working on making the mask. And everything is all fucked up on the computer, so it can only do half a face. So he has to like mimic.
Yeah, because his picture, the picture that he scanned was burnt, right?
Burnt, so it's missing half a face.
But I'm saying once she sees him with the skin, he just tells her.
No, she freaks out and she's like, she doesn't believe it. She's like, kind of like, is this real? This can't be, whatever. And he starts telling her, this is what happened. I'm telling you, it's me. And I've been locked away in a rehab facility and all this shit. So she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it, you know? And so then she's like, you have to let me see you again. And he's like, oh, I can't. I'm in my rehab. I only came to see you. I have to see you like sporadically or whatever. So then he takes her on a date to the carnival. That's one of the most iconic fucking scenes that I always remember as a kid.
Yeah.
Where that's when you see his fucked up, broken personality start coming out, right? So he goes to win a prize with the
pink elephant
baseball at the cups trick, and the carney doesn't want to give him the fucking stuffed elephant.
Yeah.
And he's like, you were behind the line. And he's like, what the fuck do you mean? I'm behind the line. I was on the line. And he starts getting fucking mad. You know Liam Neeson? He starts to turn into Taken Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
He's like, I am behind the fucking line. All right. And he's like, the carney's like, fuck you, buddy. Move on, you know? And then Sam Raimi goes fucking full Sam Raimi, and the background spins and turns dark, and lightning starts fucking happening. And it starts going in his fucking face, and you see like his face is twitching, and he starts going crazy. He's like, and then they zoom in on him. He's like, "Give me the fucking elephant," and the guy's like, "Fuck you." He's like, "Give me the pink fucking elephant." And he grabs his fucking fingers and snaps them.
Twist them, and then they do that shot where it's like 360, right?
Yeah, they start going crazy with the shot, and Francis McDermott is like freaking out, like screaming or whatever. He's got the guy's fingers all twisted in his hand, and he gives the fucking elephant. He's like, "Here, take the fucking."
And then he starts bubbling, right? Doesn't he start bubbling afterwards?
Yeah, he starts bubbling, so he runs away and smoking out of his head, and she's chasing him. So fucking good, so fucking good. It's funny because a lot of it, the effects don't hold up because it took. At the time, it was a low-budget film.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of like rotoscoping and shit going on. And the more HD movies get nowadays, the more you can see it, you know? But to me, it adds to the charm of the film. I love it. I love this outdated shit. And it's still such a well-made film. And I just remember being in a theater and seeing that shit for the first time. But the pink fucking elephant scene always gets me, man. It's one of my all-time favorite scenes.
And then the first one he kills is Ted Raimi, right?
Yeah. He goes to that.
He bobs him in the sewer, and then until he gets run over.
Yeah. The car in between traffic and everything's. You can tell they sped it up in editing. The cars are flying by him, you know, and even his head is like fast motion. He's like,
Yeah,
He's just holding him up like a puppet.
I remember thinking it looked like a puppet. Yeah, and then it becomes kind of like like the crow, RoboCop, the crow. He goes one at a time, and he starts like framing them too. He starts doing
Yeah,
like, lights
he
of
starts
James Bond.
dressing. He
Yeah,
starts dressing like
bald
Dr.
guy.
Giggles. And
Yeah,
then
he
there's a
starts fucking with
famous scene.
them.
There's a one famous scene where he's like on the
Revolving door.
hotel rotating doors, and
That
the
was
two.
clever. That's clever because you can see where they're doing the editing and the
Yeah,
rotations.
yeah, yeah. But it looks good.
And then they have that shot from the trailer when you see both of them. And then they have that guy, that the Hispanic guy that's in every movie.
He's
That
the bad guy. He's a henchman. Yeah, yeah.
who is it? Which one is it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shoot him! No, shoot him! That old,
Yeah,
that old
they're
fucking.
still doing. They still do that now.
He'll do that shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, man. And then after that, yeah, exactly. He starts killing them one at a time. He starts he starts dressing he starts dressing like Larry Drake and doing random shit in a montage to get him in trouble. He goes to a convenience store and he holds it up and he's like, "That's right, cause I'm Durant." And he looks
Correct.
at the camera.
Yeah. It
So
reminded me of
then
Dick Tracy, like the Dick Tracy scene when they framed Dick Tracy.
yes, but what I love is that it's classic Sam Raimi editing. They do the fucking the hold up scene. He's like, "Yes, I'm Kevin Durant. I'm not Kevin Durant. Whatever his name is, Durant, whatever." And he looks at the camera, and it dissolves to a cop's face. Are you Durant? And he's at his house. Yes. They just grab him and take it to jail.
Yeah, I love those transitions that he does. They're great.
Yeah, no, no. The editing and the fucking style is the main thing in this film. Like that is the main character. It's I think Sam Raimi, that was his normal style, but he took it up a notch just to make it a point that this is like a comic book. Because I
Yeah,
think originally he wanted the studio to let him do a comic book superhero at the time.
I was gonna bring
They
that up.
wouldn't
Yeah,
let him.
I think he wanted to do Batman, right? He wanted to do a major comic
Yeah,
book,
yeah. Actually, I think he was maybe trying to do Spider-Man at that time still.
so he just created his own.
And they wouldn't. So he's like, I'm just gonna write my own, and he invented Darkman, and it's kind of like a hodgepodge of like Batman and Spider-Man because he swings through the city at one point, and which, by the way, that helicopter fucking swing scene was a crazy stunt, man.
Oh yeah, a lot of that's real. Or most of
All of
that's
that
real.
was real.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
except for the
the
close-ups where,
chopper
yeah.
going around the skyscrapers. That was an amazing fucking stunt.
Oh yeah, that's something that they most likely wouldn't do now.
No,
It would
no.
have to be like a Christopher Nolan movie to do it for real.
Nowadays, everything is done with drones or green screen. Like stuntmen nowadays probably have like 30% of the work they used to have back in the day, man, to be honest
Oh,
with
I know.
you.
I know.
And then of course, at the end, the big showdown is like in the factory warehouse, right? That's where it was. It's like a big
No, the,
shoot.
the ending is at the construction site, right? The
Yeah,
building.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's like a warehouse construction site, whatever. You could tell like they only had like three locations the whole movie. They used the shit out of these things, but it's funny. Durant dies in the helicopter crash, no?
yeah. He pins him. He hooks him to the semi, and he smashes it onto the side of the bridge.
But then they went on to make two
I
shitty
know.
VHS
The
sequels where he
return. Yeah, it was
the
called The
return
Return
of
of Durant.
Durant. And it's like, what the fuck? How did he live? It's like
I don't
bullshit.
remember. I think I saw the first one that went straight
I've
to
seen
video.
them. I've seen them both, but I was like in middle school. I can't even tell you anything. I just remember that
The
instead of Lee
Mummy.
Houston, they got the guy from Lawnmower
Mummy.
Man.
Oh, wasn't he in the third one?
Oh, maybe they
I
changed the
thought it
law.
was the Mummy
Maybe
guy. The Mummy guy
after
was in it
Darkman,
too.
maybe. Yeah.
Wasn't the Mummy guy in the second one? The Arnold Vosloo.
Oh, maybe.
And I
Maybe.
think the third one they couldn't even afford him, and I think the third one, Darkman Die, or something like
Die,
that.
Darkman, die. Okay, so Darkman 2, The Return of Durant,
Was Arnold
had
Vosloo?
Arnold Vosloo.
Yeah,
You're right. And then part 3,
is Lawnmower Man. I think they couldn't even afford him because he was already making like the Mummy and shit.
Jeff
Jeff Fahey, that's the Lawnmower Man.
J.
Fahey.
Fahey. Yep. Die, Darkman 3. Yeah, yeah. Larry Drake is still in the sequel, of course, because he's Durant, but they kept him the same. But I don't think he's in the third one. He's not in the third one. So in the third one, it's It's weird because on part three it shows both Arnold Vosloo and Jeff Fahey. So I don't know. I don't remember.
I think Jeff Fahey is Darkman.
And Vosloo is the bad guy
I think so.
in part two.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember.
Part two, I don't see Jeff Fahey a lot. It's only Vosloo. Anyways, I'm not gonna watch the trailer right now, but those sequels came out around the time of The Shadow. You remember that with Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, that's when the VHS sequels were popping. Tremors 2, all the ones that didn't come to theaters, they would go straight. Yeah, 94,
Another
95.
underrated film. I liked The Shadow back in the day, and it
I
was
haven't seen it
weird
in a long
because
time.
it's like handsome young Alec Baldwin by day, like uh,
Wayne.
Bruce. But then when he's The Shadow, it's his fat brother
It's Fat Baldwin.
with like a nose prosthetic. It was so weird. I was like, why did you change the actors?
That famous scene when it goes around him and it's him. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Shadow.
not who was it? Which Baldwin is not Steven, the other one, the one from Vampires, Daniel Baldwin.
It's funny because I don't even know if they credit him. I don't even see him in the credited area here in IMDb.
And they
Maybe he
probably
did, maybe he did it. Maybe he's not even credited for it. He just did it and got paid for it,
yeah,
which
you
is
might
an odd move. But Ian McKellen is in that movie, man. I barely even remember that movie, but I like it. It was very stylistic.
yeah, I forgot who direct. I think the director of that movie is not a big name. His name was, I think, Chuck Russell. Is it Chuck Russell, the director?
Of The Shadow? I'll tell
Chuck
you
Russell?
right now. The Russell
Chuck
Mo
Russell? Oh,
no Russell Mulcahy.
oh, okay.
I don't know who he
I
is.
was confusing another guy, but he's done something else too. That guy. There were like these. I thought it was the guy who did The Mask and a couple other movies.
What an odd choice when they made that film. Of course it flopped. It was like a 1930s like radio serial. Why would they like think that that was gonna make money?
That was at the tail end, I think, of the whole old comic.
Basically,
The Dick when Dick Tracy came out, then they did The Rocketeer. They were doing all these
yeah, you're
1930s,
right.
40s
Maybe.
Art Deco movies.
Which I love, by the way. I'm all for it, but
And like The Phantom also. Remember The Phantom was that kind of movie too. The Phantom,
yeah. Except the Phantom was bad.
they were
Hold on.
still doing those kind of fantasy movies.
Yeah,
And then I always remember since a kid in that big finale, those shots of the bolts flying, right? He has these close up of the bolts that are flying when he's shooting in the.
oh yeah.
I remember those shots of the bolts flying by.
Yeah, those are Evil Dead shots.
Oh yeah, totally Evil Dead.
But yeah, that was our little quick recap on Darkman.
We can't forget the cameo at the end of our boy Bruce Campbell.
Which, by the way, he was supposed to be Darkman, but the studio were like, we need a big name. So you imagine
Interesting.
how much better the slapstick and like out of control shit Bruce Campbell would have done if it would have been not Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it would have been interesting, and it kind of would have changed the movie a little bit because Liam Neeson, in the beginning, he plays it so straight that
He's a straight man. Yeah, that's Liam
the only
Neeson.
one that you believe it.
Even though something about it being Liam Neeson, such a straight man, when he cuts loose and he starts going crazy, it makes it a little bit that much better, I think. Because you're like, he even says it nowadays. He's like, I did that movie when I was very young. And it was like, I was like, hell yeah, I'm the main guy. I'm down to do whatever. He's like, I wouldn't do half the shit if it was nowadays. He's
Yeah,
like, back then we were doing whatever. And I'm like, you could tell he was young, he didn't give a fuck, he was having fun with it. But
yeah, he says that, but then he's supposedly in the Naked Gun remake, so we'll see.
Frank Drebin with
I mean,
skills.
I see why they're picking him because they're
Is
doing.
he straight man? But does he have comedic timing? I
That's the
don't.
thing because people forget that Liam it's funny because they both have similar names.
Liam
Um,
Neeson and
Leslie Nielsen used to be
Leslie Nielsen. Yes.
Leslie Nielsen was before a serious actor. He was in
Yeah.
a bunch of B movies. He was always played like a serious military guy.
Yep.
And when he started making like Airplane and Naked Gun, the joke was that because he's normally plays a straight guy.
Police Squad, all that shit.
I
That's
think
where
I
he
could see
started.
him do it. I mean, if they're gonna do it, they could do worse. He played the bad guy in a comedy in that Seth, the guy who did Family Guy, Seth
Yes,
MacFarlane. Yes, remember he was the
yes,
bad guy.
yes.
I think he could pull it off. It just who's making it though? That's the thing. I don't know who's making it. Like what comedy
Why
team
do
is
I want to say that it is
Seth
also
Rogen? Seth
Seth
Rogen.
MacFarlane?
They're hit and miss though. The thing is that that style of comedy, you know, talking about the J. Abrams guys, they were
Dave,
perfect at it.
it's going to be missed because nowadays you can't get away with the comedy you did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Everything is so fucking politically correct. You can't. Like even Naked Gun. Bro, there's so much
Airplane.
shit in the Naked Gun movies that you're like, oh my God, they will never be able to
Yes.
do that.
Airplane. Airplane's full of
Oh no,
fucking
Airplane's even worse.
racist, sexist jokes.
Oh my, the stereotypes are through the
I
roof.
love the first Airplane is amazing. I still love that movie, even though it looks old
Oh, that's
now.
one.
The best. Of course, I mean that movie's so good. Like
You ever
the
seen a grown man naked?
all that pedophile jokes and the stereotypical like terrorist guy that's killing himself with the terrorist with the Indian guy with the flame.
The black dudes in the plane with the old white
Straight up
talking
boob
jive.
shots. Yeah, the jive people. Leave
Oh,
it to
it's
Beaver.
awesome.
The Leave It to Beaver mom speaking jive.
Suck a giant turkey.
Straight
Mama,
up,
you a fool.
straight up close up of boobs in one scene when the woman just walks in front of the camera with the tits.
I don't know what it is, but everything reminds me of her. The fucking two giant
Yeah,
buildings.
yeah, they're like two giant like reactors or something.
That
Oh,
was
Naked Gun is great. I
awesome.
love the Naked Gun too, and there's so many jokes that even when you watch it now that fly by you when you were a kid, it's like, oh shit, that was a joke. I didn't get it before.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
the shit in the background. I love the scene in First Naked Gun when he goes back to the docks and asks that guy for information. He gives him money, and then the guy gives him back the
He gives
money.
it back the money. I don't know about that, but what time is that? Like $5 for you?
Yeah, it's so
My
good.
favorite gag in the Naked Gun movies are the two scientists that are like cute and one's so tall that he's always off camera. All you see is his legs. And that one bit where he's like, there's something in your lip and half a banana fucking fall.
He goes, you have something on your face. And the big banana goes dunk. And Leeson goes, his reactions are the best, man. He's
That's what makes him great.
all the scenes with yeah with the doctor is great too, and they're just like walking through the set and one there's one scene. I don't know which movie they all blend together. There's one part he goes, "Come with me," and everyone goes to the door, and Leslie Nielsen goes around the set, the fake wall, and he looks at it. He's like, and then everyone just ignores it. Yeah,
There's like one bit, I don't know which one it was in or whatever. He's talking to a lady and she has a dog and he reaches down and he gives him a treat. He's like, it's a weird looking dog. And she's like, that's his tail. He's like, no wonder he didn't like that treat.
yeah, yeah. And then you hear like, don't you hear his finger going like it was in his butt or something?
Yes. That was so fucking good. You
Yeah, part
remember we
one, part
actually
two, even part three. Part three is my least favorite, but part three still has some good jokes. That's all the
didn't we
Oscars.
go see him in
Yes,
Fort Lauderdale?
yes, we met him. We saw him when we went to the Design Center of America with Camila Cardina from Zombie.
Yes.
We went to
Yes.
Dakota, the Dakota building for some
They honored him.
gala. They honored him and we met Steve Gutenberg was there too.
That's right.
He was big. Remember, we were surprised how big he was. Like he was tall.
Yep. Yeah, 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 yeah. But it was so cool that we got to meet him.
We
I
got to
always
meet. He
forget
was
about
there.
that. We met him. We met Leslie
He did
Nielsen.
the fart. He spoke and he did the fart thing in front of the audience.
He always did. He always carried
Yeah.
that.
I think he passed away not that long after that.
I think it was literally like the next year or maybe 2 years.
It was. He's buried. You know, he's buried here in Florida, in Miami, in Broward. Oh,
He lived near where that center was.
oh wow! I didn't
He
know
lived
that.
there.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, anyways, let's start wrapping it up for this episode. We pretty much did the usual. We just talked about 9,000 topics, but by now you should know that's what you get. So,
Yeah, and it's good for sub clipping.
yeah, why not? Fuck it. But remember, Darkman, man, if you guys haven't watched it, you want to see some good old school Sam Raimi and his roots of where he came from besides Evil Dead, Darkman is the way to go. That was pre Spider-Man with a touch of horror. Fucking great.
Yeah, it's great. Classic Sam Raimi. I wonder if we'll ever get that back. You think?
No, man. Just like John Woo. Once he's a studio guy, even though
He tried with that Drag Me to Hell movie,
Drag
remember?
Me to Hell was fucking great.
Yeah. Movie's good, and the ending is really good too. I love that ending.
So he can do it when he wants to, but does he want to? I don't even know what the hell if he's doing anything lately.
Yeah, I think he did that Drag Me to Hell because he was tired. He did the 3 Spider-Mans in a row, and
It was burnt. Yeah.
the fourth one never went off. Remember they quit.
Drama with part three. He was like, "Fuck this! I need to go back and do some fun shit." And
So
Dragon Ball, that's such a good movie.
those
That's
things.
an underrated one we should review.
Yes, Drag Me to Hell. People forgot about that movie.
Yeah. Maybe we'll
And
do
he,
that next.
and he did another movie. I think you saw it. I've never seen it, but he did a serious movie with Bill Paxton and Billy Bob Thornton. Remember where they find money? A Simple Plan. It was like a serious.
Yeah, Simple Plan. Yeah, no, that's a good movie. That's a
And
good
then,
movie.
and then did he do one with Keanu Reeves and Katie Holmes? Some
Oh, that was a dark one too. It was about
Yeah, it was something supernatural or something. Ghost.
she had
Yeah.
like psychic visions and shit. I
Those are
don't
the
remember
ones.
that one too well.
Those are the ones he probably had to do to get Spider-Man. He had to do those studio movies.
Yeah, probably, but they were good though. Those were good.
Like you saw the last movie he did, right? The Doctor Strange 2.
Horrible, fucking trash.
I see the Sam Raimi in there, but it was just it just another Marvel.
It was horrible. That movie was so badly made. I couldn't believe it. You could tell that as a matter of fact, I don't remember if it's true or not. In my mind, I want to say that he was brought in last minute. I don't think he was always the guy who was going to do that movie.
Right. The original director was the same director from the first one. He quit in the middle. He quit last minute.
And you could tell. They're like, you know what? We have Sam Raimi under contract still. Maybe we can bring him in and he can fill in and try to save this shit. And he added more horror elements to the movie than it originally did. And all the trailer did was milk the Sam Raimi stuff.
I was gonna say they used them just for the marketing from the director of Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I would never consider that a Sam Raimi movie. That's a bullshit chill move by the studio. But anyways, let's wrap it up. For this episode of the podcast, like always, guys, thank you for listening. Remember to follow us. You can go to thecreaturesofthenight.com. Same thing on Instagram. It's _creatures of the night. We also have a Facebook page and all that. And remember to like and subscribe and all that good bullshit on YouTube. We could use the pub and review this podcast on iTunes, Spotify. Even if you didn't like it, review it. We'll take it. So, David, until next time, my buddy.
Until next time, we'll see you next year. Not just kidding.
Actually, we may do a Drag Me to Hell coming soon.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I want to see that again.
Sounds like a plan.
So next time,
Perfect plan.
Good night.
All right, guys.